Hello, everybody. This is Daisy Moore coming to you on Second Wind Monday. I'm trying some different days and times to see when might be the best time to bring some tips to you, tips and tools to help you get your second wind. So we're going to start in just a minute. I guess it's Second Wind Monday because today is Monday and March the 18th. Many people are recovering from St. Patrick's Day celebration. So I figured this was a good day to do Second Wind Monday. So tell your friends, grab a notebook and a pen because you are going to learn something today. We're going to talk about confidence. So I will be right back, give you a chance to kind of get all set up, and we will be talking about some skills that will help you get your second wind. Well, hello again. I'm Daisy Moore, licensed professional counselor and owner of Second Wind Counseling and Consulting, where I help business owners, experts, authors, and entrepreneurs to improve your emotional control, eliminate unhealthy habits, so that you can develop a championship mindset to help make the rest of your life the best of your life. That is what we want to do here at every Second Wind. So it is time to get your second wind. And I love that name, Second Wind, because it is actually a marathon runner's term, a marathon race term where a runner is running a super long race and gets tired. But if she or he just keeps going, she will get her second wind and successfully complete the race. And that is what I want to do with you, is to help you keep running the race that the Lord has put in front of you, your race. You have your race to run. And so there are some things that you can do better to improve your race, to improve how you run your race, and to be more successful. So today we're going to talk about tips, 3 tips to improve your self-confidence. We're talking about self-confidence today. And in any category in which you work, wherever you're seeing this and whenever you're seeing this, you need self-confidence. Now, we're not talking about arrogance. We are not talking about being overly confident and egotistical. That is not what I'm talking about at all. I come from a Christian perspective. And so we want to have a good measure of healthy confidence in ourselves because we know the Lord has given us gifts, skills, and talents that only you have that you can use. So we're going to talk about confidence today. And I want to open up with this quote from Henry Ford: whether you think you can or you think you can't, both are right. Now, that's an old quote. I'm sure you've heard it before. Whether you think you can or think you can't, either way, you're right. All right. So it all is about your thinking, your self-talk. And for those of you who know me, I'm a licensed professional counselor. My specialty is rational emotive behavior therapy, REBT. And the premise of REBT is that everything is in your mind. Everything starts with your thoughts, how you think about things. And it's not what other people say that disturbs you. It's what you think about what they said that disturbs you. So in my counseling, I use REBT in my coaching. I do executive coaching, leadership coaching, personal coaching. All of it has to do with your mindset. And that's why in 2024 and beyond, I'm going to be talking about developing a champion mindset. Because in order to be a champion, you have got to get your mind right, and you've got to keep aligning it. You have to keep aligning your thoughts, bringing your thoughts under your will, under your control, and aligning your thoughts with where you want to go. And confidence is a big element or part of that. So it's Women's History Month, and I want to share with you about a woman who has self-confidence, clearly based on her achievements. She believes in herself. Her name is Jennifer Eberhardt. She was born in 1965, so she's still around. She's actually an American social psychologist. I'm reading her bio right here, who is currently a professor in the Department of Psychology at Stanford University. We're going to have her on the show one of these days. She has been responsible for major contributions on investigating the consequences of psychological association between race and crime. So she has done a lot of work on implicit bias, and she has contributed to how people are mistreated in communities due to biases. And that is a real thing. So she grew up early in life. She's in my generation. And so there was a lot of racism. There still is a lot of racism, but it was much more overt back when she was younger. And that is what prompted her to study bias and people's opinions and thoughts about people of other races, and how that treatment can get into policies that cause groups of people to be discriminated against. So shout out to Jennifer Eberhardt. Really appreciate the work that she's done. She is a woman with confidence, just like you. And so that's important for you to be looking at people who have confidence, and also to encourage yourself. You know, the Bible says to encourage yourself as long as it's called today. So one of the foundational questions that we talk about on this show is, are you your own best friend? Confidence well, first let's get into what is confidence. Okay, what is confidence? Confidence is being your own best friend, but confidence also is being your own coach that is going to nudge you to do things that are uncomfortable. In order to succeed in this life, you have got, and I know you've heard this, to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, right? To stretch yourself. Well, confidence has a lot to do with believing that when you're uncomfortable, even if you are uncomfortable, you can stretch yourself because you have the ability to figure it out and navigate it. I had the experience a couple of weeks ago where I was disappointed in something. Something happened. I don't even remember what now, but something happened. My plans didn't go according to, the way it was supposed to. And I had to adapt and adjust. And I was just deeply disappointed. And my coach self said, Dacia, you are a really good problem solver. You will figure this out. And I am here to tell you that there was a time when I was not that confident in myself. Now, there's some research that I've read in preparing this for you that says your confidence, your self-confidence is stable, and you really can't improve it. I do not agree with that, because I am a living witness of somebody who has grown in confidence because of the journey and the belief that I have. So, what is confidence? Well, confidence and self-esteem kind of go hand in hand. They're not the same thing. Self-confidence has to do with your belief in yourself to be able to do something. So in that example, I am a good problem solver. I have been problem solving my whole life. So have you. All right. And so that was confidence in my ability to figure things out. So we can have self-confidence, but self-esteem is how you feel about yourself overall. All right. So self-confidence and self-esteem are closely related, but self-confidence is your belief in yourself and your abilities. Do you believe in yourself? Now, that's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer that if you don't want to me, but I want you to be honest with yourself. Do you believe in yourself? Okay. Do you believe that you have what it takes to be successful? And if you don't have what it takes to be successful, are you trying to learn so that you can be successful? All right. Are you trying to learn so that you can be successful? That is the question. All right. You can learn to believe in yourself. You can. There are two kinds of confidence. I was surprised to learn this. There is confidence in abilities for a certain task, and then there's general confidence. So there's specific confidence. You may have confidence in your ability to cook, for example. You may have confidence in your ability to lead your team meetings, as an example. But you may not have confidence in dealing with the finances of your organization. I think about my grandson. He has confidence in his football skills because he's a good football player and he's a winner when he's on that football field. But off the field, he needs a little bit of work with his reading. He is not as confident in reading. So there is confidence in specific skills. You might be good in a specific thing, but then there's overall confidence, meaning that do you in general believe in yourself? Believe that you have special, I shouldn't say special, although you are special, unique gifts, skills, and talents. You know, we have this word that goes around called imposter syndrome, right? Imposter syndrome. I know you've heard of that. And imposter syndrome comes from comparing ourselves with other people. And when we're looking outside at other people, thinking about, oh, they have a great life. It looks like I had a client the other day who was struggling with this. All of us struggle with imposter syndrome at some point. But her struggle was the woman she was comparing herself to had got married at the right time, had kids at the right time. They were both professional. The husband and wife were both professional people pulling in good money. And I said to her, be careful because you don't know what goes on behind closed doors. You don't know. All that glitters is not gold. It can look real pretty. You know, it looks real pretty on social media. But that doesn't mean that's what's going on behind the curtain. Have you ever had the experience where you weren't feeling real good one day and then somebody said, oh, let's take a picture, and you smile? But inside, you just 2 seconds ago, you weren't feeling good. And then after the picture, you still don't feel good. So just because you see something that's a snapshot does not mean that it tells the whole story. But my point in terms of confidence has to do with looking not at other people and comparing where you are to other people, but looking within. Are you better today than you were last year this time, last month this time? Are you making progress toward who you are becoming, who you want to be? That's really the question. And self-confidence has to do with not looking outside and comparing and saying, I'm better than that person. No, 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 no. That's not what we're talking about. Confidence is about looking within and saying, you know what? I like myself. I believe in myself. I am going to do the best that I can with what I have. Look, this is what I have looking at me. Work with what you've got. Look, this is on my desk. Work with what you've got. You can't work with what you don't have. Work with what you have. Work with what God has given you. And try to become your best self. Try to become your best self. So why is self-confidence important? Well, self-confidence is important because when you fail, when you make a mistake, when you hear that inner critic, oh, you can't do that. No, no, no. When you have that negativity that's swirling around, sometimes from well-meaning people, sometimes from friends and family members, It is going to boil down to, what do you believe? What do you believe about yourself? All right. So low self confidence, low self esteem can really magnify or intensify that inner critic. So you have got to manage that inner critic. Most people don't bring their thoughts under their control. They just let their thoughts roll around in their head. And that is not what a champion does. A championship mindset, a person with a championship mindset, controls their thinking and brings their thought back to winning, back to succeeding, back to progressing, back to becoming, always bringing those thoughts back. And that's what you have to do as well. You might have to write some index cards. I have a group of index cards that I keep, and I write different affirmations on them, and I say them every morning. And you might have to do the same to plant good seeds of self-confidence and belief in yourself, if that's not where you are right now. When is self-confidence? So we talked about what self-confidence is. It's a belief in yourself. We talked about why you need self-confidence, because you've got to manage that inner critic. When do you need self-confidence? Well, you need it really for just about everything, but certainly when you're in relationship with other people. You certainly need it on the job. If you're asking for a raise, you need self-confidence. If you're looking for another job, you know what, in my research, I discovered men are naturally, well, I don't know if they're naturally, but they are certainly raised to be confident, to be providers. And did you know that when men look at a job description, if they meet 40% of the qualifications, they will go for that job. They will pursue that job if they meet 40% of the qualifications. But a woman, if she meets 80% of the qualifications, then she'll go for the job. That has to do with risk, but that also has to do with confidence. You know what men say to themselves? Shoot, I got 40% of it down. I'll learn the other 60% when I get on the job. I will figure it out. Women, on the other hand, want to be sure. Can I do the job? I want to know that I can do the job before I get the job. Well, sometimes you got to be on the job to understand the job so that you can do the job. And you can do and learn the job as you go along. So I just think that is an interesting distinction between men and women as it relates to confidence. Men have a lot of confidence in themselves, and they'll say, you know what, I'll figure it out when I get there. And that's another reason why they are bold in asking for more money. I hope that this is encouraging to you to be more confident within yourself, because it has a lot to do with your livelihood and what you can provide for your family. When you have confidence, you will not put up with mediocrity. You won't put up with the okey doke. All right. And in leadership, confidence even plays a more important role, because people are looking at you to know what to do. And even if you don't know what to do and you want to get other people's opinion, you still make the last decision. You still have the final say as the head of the department, as the leader of that team. So in my research for this, I read about not only self-confidence, but something called self-leadership. And I love that term. I actually, about 15 years ago, I used that term in a group that I was speaking to, and it didn't really fit. But now that we've come such a long way in our understanding about confidence and about mental health issues, people are more inclined to think of self-leadership as something that's really important. There's a lot that goes to self-leadership, but certainly self-leadership has to do with managing your thinking. Self-leadership has to do with believing in yourself. And self-leadership has to do with taking some risks and being uncomfortable when you know that the Lord has opened up a door for you that he wants you to go through. So we have to guide our thoughts. I'm sorry. I thought I'd turn this off. My apologies. We have to guide our thoughts. We have to believe in ourselves. And I asked you earlier, are you your own best friend? And if you're not, I hope that you move in that direction by talking to yourself differently and coaching yourself to be better. And if you don't know it, to learn it, to take a class, get an audio book, get a library book, pray about it, all those kinds of things to improve your self-confidence, because you can. So we talked about what is confidence. That's belief in self. We talked about why confidence is important, because it can certainly help propel you to a different stratosphere on your job. It can enhance your relationships. It can improve your livelihood, and it could just make you feel better about yourself. Now, that's a great benefit to being confident, is to feel good about yourself. Again, I'm not talking about ego. I'm a Christian and I understand my limitations. One of the things that we talk about in REBT is unconditional self acceptance. That means that you accept yourself, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And when you know yourself, it's important to know what your limitations are. But that's why we pray. We want the Lord to cover the gap, right? And we do what we can do, and then we pray about what we can't do and ask the Lord to provide. So, what is confidence? We've talked about that. How can you grow your confidence? Now, I told you earlier, I was going to give you 3 tips. So here they are. You can write them down. I hope you got some paper. My daughter turned me on to this word, Godfidence. And let me see if I can put it on the screen here. It's going to give just a second. Let me create something for you. It's called Godfidence. Let me see if I can put it down. Godfidence. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Let me correct it. Hold on. Godfidence. And Godfidence is Godfidence. There we go. You could write this down. It's a new word. I actually got, my daughter told me about this business devotional that she gets every day. It's a made up word, and you know what it means. It means having confidence in God. We sing, what's that song? There's so many good songs that we sing at church. And it's all about, he is able, more than able, to accomplish what concerns me today. God is my rock. God has blessings for me. We sing all these songs, but do you believe? Do you believe what you're saying? Do you have confidence in God? I had a client tell me recently, and I understand. She said, Dacia, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to put my full trust in God. Because suppose if he doesn't do what I want him to do. And I said, I understand. I really do. That it can be scary. I mean, there's some prerequisites. You got to be living right. There's some things that, God is not Santa Claus. He's not going to just bestow lots of blessings on you just because. Although we are his children and he loves us, every one of you, he loves you. He does love you. And he knows you. He knows your name. But there's some things that we're supposed to do to fall in line with what he wants us to do. But do you have confidence in God? That is the question. Do you pray? Do you do the things that you know you're supposed to do? Are you taking the time to invest in your spiritual life? Are you taking the time to invest in your spiritual life so that you can hear his voice and you know his voice? He said, my children will know my voice and I will tell them to turn to the left or to the right. So he wants to guide you, but he wants you to have confidence in him. That's why the Israelites spent 40 years in the desert, because they didn't believe. All right. So you be careful. So the first tip in improving your confidence is to get some Godfidence, to get some Godfidence, confidence in God, meaning to invest in your spiritual life. That may mean getting up 5 minutes earlier or going to bed 5 minutes later, but where you are sequestering some time to meditate, to pray, and to worship God, the Creator. That's number one. All right, let me put number two is to practice USA and OSA. Practice USA and OSA. USA is unconditional self acceptance. Unconditional self acceptance. All right, so number two, the first one is Godfidence, having confidence in God. Number two is unconditional self acceptance, meaning that you accept your gifts, skills, and talents. You know that you have uniqueness that you bring to the table, and you embrace that uniqueness, but you also know that you sometimes make mistakes, and you don't beat yourself up when you make a mistake. You accept it and you keep it moving. We're going to do a couple of, I'm going to do a couple of shows on failure. I've done a few, but we take failure way too personally. We take mistakes way too personally, as if a mistake is an indicator of your self-worth, which then knocks your self-confidence, because when you make a mistake, you think to yourself, oh my God, how could I have made the mistake? Oh, I'm so stupid. What's wrong with me? I must not be as good as I think. I mean, that's just ridiculous. That is faulty logic. Okay. But we do it all the time. I see it all the time. Um, Accepting your fallibility, accepting your humanness with unconditional self acceptance. That means all your gifts, skills, and talents, and all of your quirks and your imperfections, and being okay with them and accepting them and not feeling like you are a failure. We'll talk more about that. But in order to increase your confidence, number one, have Godfidence and make sure that your spiritual life is strong. And then number two, accept yourself as you are. Unconditional self-acceptance. I would say that right now, with my coaching and counseling clients, 80% of them are struggling with not just perfectionism, but a feeling of unworthiness. And all of them are achieving. You would look at them and say, oh my God, that's a successful woman right there. If you saw her on the street and met one of my clients, you would say she is successful, but not in her thinking, because it's got to do with how you feel about yourself. And some people don't feel like they deserve good things happening to them. So unconditional self-acceptance is the next thing. And then this is what I want you to really do. This is number three. Make sure I spelled everything right. My spelling, I tell you, it has gone out the window. But I'm getting better. I'm working on it. And I use spell check. All right. So this is number three. Tell your story from a positive perspective. You know what I know you're doing? and I don't even know your name right now. I hope I know who you are when, you text me, or, you put a comment in the on the chat, or whatever this thing is, in the comment section. But I bet I'm a betting woman. Sometimes I bet just a little bit, but I bet that when you think of your story, because I was the same way and I have changed, I have become better. But when you think of your story from childhood to present, I bet you rehearse all of the bad things that have happened to you. Now, you may insert a few good things, but when you think about your life and you think things over, I bet a lot of your story has to do with the negative things that have happened to you. And, negativity has more weight than positivity. Actually, even in the physical world, negative atoms and ions are heavier than positive atoms and ions. It's a scientific fact. Negative memories have more weight than positive memories. That is true. Actually, even in disciplining your children, research suggests that you should, or it's helpful, for every negative comment that you make to your child, it takes 5 positive comments to balance those out. 5 positive comments to 1 negative comment. 5. That's how heavy, that's how much we remember the negative. So, to increase your confidence, you have got to start remembering and reminding yourself and patting yourself on the back for the good decisions that you've made, for the achievements that you have had up to this point, for the good things that have happened to you, maybe the blessings from the Lord. Every good and perfect gift comes from above. That is your homework, is to begin to tell your story from a positive perspective. From a positive perspective. When you think about your life and you think about all the mistakes that you've made, make sure that you remember, yeah, I made a lot of mistakes, but you know what? I've made a lot of good decisions too. I married the wrong person, but you know what? I have good relationships now. I shouldn't have done that in college, but you know what? I am doing much better now. You've got to tell yourself the whole story and focus on the positive perspective. That will increase your confidence. Okay, so those are my topics for today. There's so much more, of course, that I can say. Would love to connect with you on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can just Google my name, Dacia Moore. I am on all of those mediums, social medias. And I'll be posting these videos, and I also have lots of resources that I share with my community. But you have to sign up for my newsletter. So you go to secondwindcc.com. That's secondwindcc.com. Check me out. You can see some of the work that I'm doing around the country. And if you have an organization or group that you think would benefit from learning about the psychology of success or developing a championship mindset, let's say you work in a business or a women's group, you have a church group that you think would benefit from that, have them give me a call. Go to my website, secondwindcc.com, check it out, fill out the contact information, and I'll be happy to chat with you about it, because I do want more people to know about the mindset of a champion and some of the foundational principles that can help you develop a championship mindset so you can get your second wind and soar. All right. Well, that's it for today's show. Thank you so much for watching. Leave me comments on how you like this. Leave me some comments on what other topics you would like to hear about. And I will see you next time. All right. Bye-bye.